Thank you so much, Leah, for coming today. I massively appreciate
pleasure.
you giving your time, and I'm so excited to speak to you because, like many others on this webinar, I'm sure, I followed you on LinkedIn for 2 years now, I think. So
Yeah,
it feels like
it's
I've known you for a long time.
It's my 3-year anniversary next month since starting posting. Yeah.
Isn't
Mad,
that amazing
isn't it?
as well when you look back at it like that and think how much life can change in just a few years?
Yeah, I try not to too much because I get crushing anxiety thinking about like how different life is. But you know, it's been a hell of a 3 years. I definitely would never have predicted it when I first started posting some random crap on LinkedIn and being like, oh, I hope some people are interested in this. Oh, well, if they're not.
That might be a really good place to start, is when you first started posting. I mean, I've heard you speak at things before, and you said you used to have an audio transcription business and you were getting clients through that. So when did you start posting and start kind of enjoying posting and building a community around you?
So it was 2019 that I started sort of thinking about LinkedIn as a way to generate more business for my transcription business. And I worked for lawyers, doctors, building surveyors, all that sort of thing. But I was working crazy hours, and with a little one about to start school the following year, I was like, I need to cut down my hours because I'm not having any real quality of life to enjoy with him as he's getting to an age where we can actually do a lot of stuff together. So I had no marketing budget. So I thought, well, I need something that I can do for cheap or for free. And I just sort of saw one of those LinkedIn emails, someone's viewing your profile. And I thought, oh, do you know what? Maybe this would be interesting. Logged on, saw a load of like corporate content that had no relevance to me whatsoever. And logged back off again thinking this is not the place for me. I didn't even have a profile photo. I had a business logo. And I think I tried a few posts and nothing really happened. And then I just sort of shrugged my shoulders and went, well, you know, if people don't like me, they don't like me, but I may as well give it a shot. And so I just started posting whatever I wanted to talk about and embracing being kind of quirky and funny and stuff that happened in my daily life. And that led to a lot of people starting to follow me and starting to engage with me. A lot of people, and I was commenting a lot on other people's content because that really helped lift my confidence. So I was like, I'm getting involved with conversations, but I don't have to be responsible for starting them because I really didn't have the confidence to do that. And it sort of went to 10,000 followers in the space of a couple of months. Within 5 months, I think I'd hit 25,000 followers without trying to really do anything particularly outrageous or different. I was just being myself and talking about the things that I found interesting and I thought other people might.
Thinking back to when I first used LinkedIn when I was in insurance, it was so boring. People would just post they had a promotion or they'd started a new job, or there was nobody wants to read it. It was so dull.
I think that's it.
Shows being yourself actually was doing something really different and did massively stand out.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen other people doing it. I definitely wasn't like the first person to do it, but I think the combination of that and me being like a single mum with a business and looking different, which certainly made me stand out from what people expected to see on LinkedIn. And that kind of made people go, well, hold on a minute, if she can do it, I can do it. And maybe I don't feel so the odd one out if I don't really fit the corporate image. And as a result, you know, my following just kept growing and growing. And when COVID hit, that was when I basically had no other option. I had to do something else because my business, you know, I'd had about 100 inbound leads and inbound clients from LinkedIn for my transcription business, and got like 5 or 6 ladies that were working for me at that point. As freelancers. And then obviously when COVID hit, they all had their kids at home. And so they couldn't work for me, but there wasn't any work being generated because my clients couldn't see their clients. So I was left scrapping around for work. And I had so many people saying to me, how are you doing this on LinkedIn? How are you getting so many profile views? So much engagement? How are you getting so much business? And I sort of thought, well, actually, let's have a think about how I am actually doing this. And there was a few other people that I'd seen that were LinkedIn trainers, and they were giving advice to people who were then coming to me for advice, who they was then saying, well, your advice is better than theirs. I'm getting results from what you say, and I wasn't from what I was paying thousands of pounds for them to give me. And I thought, well, I better give this a go, because I've obviously got something that I can use to make some money. And as a single parent, you know, the government handouts weren't going to cover all my rent and bills, and I had to survive. So that was when I offered my first ever training session for free to somebody. And I started charging £99 for an hour of sort of strategy and guidance, learned more, implemented more, made my sessions longer, and I was pretty much fully booked. And suddenly the LinkedIn stuff was making far more money than the typing stuff, which I hired somebody to basically run the typing side of things for me and focused on the LinkedIn stuff, until I got to the point where I was like, I'm not doing the transcription anymore. I don't need my safety net. I'm going to go full in on the LinkedIn training. And, you know, that was, so I did the first ever session at the end of April in 2020. And
right.
I sort of, my company went limited at the beginning of August 2020. And since then it's made over £600,000, it all from inbound leads.
That's so exciting. In
it's
two
quite
years.
mad. Yeah, it's quite crazy. And obviously, as a single parent in a rental house, and now I'm sat in a 4-bed house that I managed to buy thanks to LinkedIn and and an amazing mortgage broker company that could get me a mortgage with 1-year accounts, which was a struggle. But yeah, it's been crazy. And you know, I think one of the things that makes me a strong advocate for people to listen to is that I'm not just talking in theory, which, you know, there are a lot of LinkedIn trainers that are sort of like, this is how you do it in theory, but they're not getting the engagement, they're not getting the clients inbound. They focus on a lot of outbound lead generation as well. And I did it all before I started teaching other people how to do it, and sort of implementing strategies that I know work, because they work for people. It doesn't matter if they're, you know, a 21-year-old beauty queen or a 60-year-old male accountant. What I teach works for everybody if they're willing to put the work in. So yeah.
Let's head back there. So in that story, you said a bit about at the beginning, it was showing up, being yourself, and actually having the confidence to do that. So a lot of lawyers that I speak to, this is an area, and they probably wouldn't admit it, but it is that confidence. A lot of them have come from quite corporate firms where they maybe didn't have the freedom to show up at work as themselves, let alone on social media, which is a huge mental barrier to overcome. Do you have any tips for kind of how they can get more comfortable showing up authentically online?
I think the best way you need to think about it is stop thinking about it as like faffing about on social media, and think about it like you're walking into a networking event. Because if you walk into a real life networking event, you are going to approach strangers, you're going to have conversations, and your conversations aren't entirely going to be about work. You might talk a bit about work, obviously you're there to network for business, but you also bring in things that you're interested in. You might discuss the quality of the wine, or the location, or the traffic on the way. You'll have conversations with people about normal human things and find common ground, and then you move on to business. And the same thing happens in the office. If you walk into the office in the morning, you don't just talk business. You walk in and ask people, how did your weekend go? What did you get up to? How was that thing you did last week? Have you been to this new restaurant? You're going to have these normal human conversations. And yet when we go onto the internet, we're like, oh no, we must only speak in corporate jargon and post white papers. And it's not like that, because that's not how humans connect. We connect about things we have in common first, which builds that trust and being able to relate to one another. And then we move on to talking about business. But we seem to have this huge disconnect between how we behave when we're face to face with someone in person to how we behave online. But actually, the way humans connect remains the same in both places. And if you just shout sales pitches at people, as a lawyer, how many other lawyers are there on LinkedIn? How many other contract lawyers? How many other divorce lawyers? How many other property solicitors? Like whatever it is, there are so many different people doing the same thing that you do, that the reason people will choose to work with you is because they like you, they trust you, they feel like they've got some common ground with you. That's what makes you stand out in their mind. And then when it's time that they need what you do, it's you that they think of and feel comfortable approaching. So it makes such a difference to be able to build that trust. And especially I find with like lawyers and recruiters, it's not a very trusted industry. There's a lot of negative opinions still attached to those industries. So when you can bring a bit of who you are that makes you more human, more approachable, more trusted, you automatically become somebody that they don't feel nervous reaching out to, or like they're going to be scammed or get fobbed off, which, you know, is negative connotations that still hang on for a lot of people within the legal industry, which obviously I don't think that, and I think it's completely unfair, but it's undeniably still present. And LinkedIn can be a level playing field where everybody is able to communicate on a human level, on a level playing field with one another.
I like that way of thinking about it, like walking into the office in the morning, kind of the casual conversations you just had. And for a lot of us working remotely or hybrid, that's totally changed over the last few years. And actually it's those like little social interactions that we just don't get anymore. So it's nice to have a digital way of still just socializing. And, you know, I go on LinkedIn probably too much. And the amount of kind of long posts on there, and I do a lot of curating my feed, so I unfollow people and hide things so it shows me more things that I like. But there's a lot of kind of just really long text posts and they're just telling me something. I don't want to read it. Like, I really don't want to read it. So yeah, being personable, having personable conversations. This is another thing that I see quite a lot. It's the balance between how do you show up authentically in a personal way online without crossing that line into feeling vulnerable. Like there's a fine line there, isn't there? And it's very hard to walk along it. And we've seen, you know, sometimes people get it wrong, sometimes people get it right. How do you judge something before you post it? Like,
I think I definitely have crossed the line a few times and gone, oh God. However, when I say cross the line I've put there of what I feel comfortable with, and I've pushed over that line a couple of times and gone, oh my God, can't believe I posted that. But as a result of having posted it, I've been absolutely inundated with people saying, I really needed to hear that. That's amazing to hear that from you. That's made me feel so much better. That's given me courage that I can do things. So you have to work out what you're comfortable with. And for some people, it's going to be things like, I don't want to share pictures of my children. That's absolutely fine. You don't need to. You can allude to something that goes on in parenting. You can talk about the fact that you are a parent. You don't have to share pictures of your children. It could just be that you talk about things like your hobbies, or maybe you've had a bad morning, you need a bit of a rant. Those are still personal things. You know, sharing pictures of your pets now and then while you're sat at the desk and whatever they're up to. It doesn't have to be vulnerable in the way that you're thinking, oh my God, it feels deeply uncomfortable and I'm bearing my soul. Vulnerability isn't that extreme. It doesn't have to be. There are people that will go to that extreme. And for a lot of people, that makes them very uncomfortable. And I try to walk that line of, I don't want to make other people feel bad. If my post is going out and it's a vulnerable post, it's coming with an uplifting message with it, not I'm just trying to make you cry. You know, you need to let people feel good. At the end of the day, that's how you build a brand, is if you're making people feel good about what you're saying and what you're doing and how you're helping the world around you, they're going to remember you better because you're giving them an uplifting feeling as well. So I think you have to work out what your own boundaries are and what you're comfortable with, but also be prepared as you get more involved in LinkedIn and you start interacting with people that boundary may move and you may start feeling comfortable sharing a little bit more of who you are. It doesn't always happen like that. Some people are very rigid with their boundaries, and that's fine, but you work out where your parameters are and stick within them, but just keep an open mind that actually sometimes, you know, you'll have like a suicide awareness week, or, you know, a mental health week, or something that's like relating to a family struggle that you've had that you're passionate about. And maybe there comes an appropriate time to start sharing a little bit more. And you go, do you know what, actually, the impact me sharing this potentially can have, the positive impact, is more important and more powerful than my feeling of slight discomfort.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I had a bit of a problem a few months ago where I did a post about being in foster care, and someone from my real life that I thought was a friend sent me some very long messages accusing me of self-promotion, and it was just like, I've realised quite quickly that actually wasn't my friend. So there's also that thing of what we do on social media, it can impact our real lives. And I saw you post a few weeks ago actually saying you don't know how many people don't like you until you start posting on social media. What advice would you give for lawyers on this? Because a lot of it is about being perceived positively, but the more people you get in front of, there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like what you have to say.
You're never going to please everyone. I mean, I put up a post on Sunday for my son's birthday talking about the impact he's had on my life, and it's had nearly 800,000 views on it. But when something goes beyond the network that have context to who you are, you start getting people that have no idea who you are, no idea the journey you've been on. They've never seen your content before, or they've only ever seen the viral content. They have an opinion of you. Alice Stevenson is a prime example of this happening. She has a huge amount of support, and she's grown her business incredibly by sharing vulnerably about the journey that she's been on and the struggles that she's personally had and within business. And she gets a lot of trolls, she does. And we text about the fact that sometimes that can impact both of us and we don't feel great about it, and sometimes we need to have a little pep talk between us. But ultimately, the people that really dislike you for having an opinion that's based on your own values, they're not the kind of people that you want to do business with. And if they're the kind of people that are spewing hate on the internet, they're deeply unhappy people, because happy people just don't do that. Constructive criticism, mature discourse, fine, right? You're lawyers. That's normal. Having mature discussions about things is normal. But when people start with the personal insults and attacking your credibility, that's only a reflection on how poor a person they are and how emotionally broken they must be. So I try to just encourage people to think, well, you can handle those trolls however you choose. You can leave the comment there for them to display what a knob they are to the whole world. You can block them and remove the comments so that you just remove them from your existence, so you never see them again. Or you can come back to them and have a sensible discussion with them, or mature. I had someone this morning that made a comment that was just a weird comment, and so I responded, this comment makes me uncomfortable. And actually, by doing that, other women that get those uncomfortable comments on their posts see it and go, well, actually, I can say this as well. I don't have to just allow these comments. I can stand up for myself. So I think you need to toughen up a little bit if you're planning on getting on social media, but also remember that being liked by everyone is impossible. Yeah. And like I say to people, there's 7.9 billion people in the world, or something like 7 billion people in the world, and even if 99% of those people don't like you, there's still nearly 8 million that will. So we're not going to serve 8 million people, we're not going to have 8 million clients or friends, so we've got a fair chunk of people that we can still be liked by.
Yeah, definitely. And it's that, I liked what you said about leaving the comment there. Like, a lot of the times when I see it now, I just recognize actually they're exposing themselves.
That's exactly it. Everyone can see it. Me. People that they work with can see it. Their clients see it. I had a lady comment on the picture of me with my son saying that I was disgusting and that I shouldn't be kissing him and ashamed to be a tattooed single mum and all of this. And I was like, she's a life coach. I was like, wow. She called herself a harmonizing life coach, and the week before it posted about the importance of diversity and inclusion. I was like, what, so I don't count? Like, single mums that have got tattoos aren't allowed to be included. Yeah, what is wrong with you?
That's bad.
Yeah, not going to do her business any good, is it?
No, block that one. Getting personal branding itself, a lot of lawyers, there's still a lot of kind of confusion over what it actually means. What's marketing? What's business development? What's personal branding? What platform should I be on? Just like kind of a general overwhelm of what do I do? How would you define personal branding?
Just your reputation. I mean, it's just a fancy new word for how people would speak about you when you're not in the room. essentially. Like if people are saying good things or they remember you, at least that's your personal brand. I think, you know, it's a very buzzword at the moment, personal brand, and there is such a lot of talk about it, but ultimately it is your reputation on a personal and a professional basis. And it's what, you know, your personal brand is different to every single person. So what my personal brand means to you is going to be something completely different to what my personal brand is to somebody else. If you say my name to someone, what they say about me isn't going to necessarily be the same as what you would be thinking about me. So you have to remember that you can't always impact what people, they will take what they choose to take, what they receive from whatever you're putting out there. And sometimes it's not good. You know, there are people out there that will, you say my name and the things that come to their head are negative, and anything that I say will feed into that negative narrative. But you just need to remember that you need to act with integrity and trying to be memorable. Essentially, the worst thing for a personal brand is to not be remembered. That's a terrible personal brand, but ideally remembered for positive things if you can.
It's that thing again of you can't control what other people are going to think of you. So you can define your values, your company mission, like your key messages, and have all of this planned out, but you still can't control how someone else is going to perceive it. So there's an accountability there of it's up to us to write our posts in a way that communicate what we want to say properly and clearly, but that still doesn't always mean that it's going to be right. Like some of it is always trial and error. You get better at writing and learning who is someone that's going to add to your network and someone who's not, and they're just going to be a waste of time trying to fight them in the comment sections. Or
exactly. Although remembering, you know, even if it's negative comments, the comments help your visibility, and
that's true.
You know, the more comments you have on a post, the more your post is going to be seen by new people, and even if they're negative comments, they're still contributing to the reach of your post and contributing to how many people see their negative comment. As long as it's not something that you feel deeply uncomfortable having there, like keep them talking, ask them questions.
Some of the negative comments make such good content.
Oh god, yeah. As well. Alice does very well from that, and I've done the same. Like you can make some fantastic content out of the negative comments, and just laugh at yourself and laugh at the situation, because you take the power away from it to hurt you if you can actually just laugh at it.
Definitely. I think I saw you turn some of your like inappropriate DMs into romantic poems and share them.
Yeah, inspirational quotes. Yeah.
We haven't got a huge amount of time left. 8 minutes to be precise. I'm hoping we'll get time for a couple of questions at the end. So if anyone who's on this call has anything they want to ask Leah, specifically about personal branding for lawyers, if possible, LinkedIn, things like that, pop it in the chat, and we'll get round to a couple of those at the end. Leah, talking specifically for lawyers here, what advice do you have them for building a personal brand on LinkedIn specifically for lawyers? So
the main thing, and this is for everybody, but is specifically important to anybody who's really trying to attract clients, is getting your profile right. It's a classic mistake that people write their profile like it's a CV. They talk in the third person. They'll just use a speaker profile or something like that. And you actually need to write your profile as if you are speaking to your ideal client and selling to them what it is that you're going to do that will help them. The outcomes rather than the process, what the outcomes are of working with you and why they should trust you. Another mistake that people make often is that it's just me, but it needs to be about the customer that you're serving, because they're not going there to find out your life story. They're going there to find out what you can do for them. And the mindset in the newsfeed is this: I'm procrastinating, I'm busy, I'm wasting time. But the moment you get somebody onto your profile, they're curious, they're in this buying mindset of, I want to know what this person can do for me. Something they've said has interested me. You've now got their attention. Sell them everything that you possibly can. Tell them all the good things. Have your testimonials in your featured posts. Have a lead magnet if you have one. Make sure you're using a cover video and have a banner that doesn't just say, you know, the company logo on it. Have a tagline with your values or your purpose, and what you do, and a headline that said, and people really underestimate the importance of a headline. But for example, I worked with an insolvency practitioner whose headline was licensed insolvency practitioner, and we changed it because insolvency is such an anxiety inducing subject. We changed it to ready to talk about your insolvency when you are. and he made £60,000 in his first month. He'd never made any money from LinkedIn, and in his first month, and now he's got over £200,000 of annual revenue coming in as a result of LinkedIn. And he's barely done anything else that I advised him to do, but that headline was a game changer, because it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. So if you've got solicitor at Johnson and Smith, what kind of solicitor? For who? Who do you work for? What kind of law are you practicing? What problems do you help me to solve? I need to know that, because if I need that thing, I'm visiting your profile. And if you can go and find your ideal clients and comment on their posts and they see your headline, they're going to be like, oh, I need one of those. That's interesting. And they're finding out more about you. So I think headline is a huge one that I see as a problem with lawyers. They'll just have their job title or the company that they work for. And it's like, that's probably the least important thing in your headline. You need to make it focused on the solutions you offer and the people that you serve. And really, I guess it's breaking down those boundaries and adding a little bit more personal content, and realizing that, you know, there's this fear of overstepping the mark and doing something that's maybe going to get you in trouble. And obviously there are going to be guidelines. There are definitely things that you're probably best steering away from. But actually a really great example of someone who walks the line beautifully is Sahar Faruqi. If anyone's aware of him, I know I'm going to be speaking with him next month at Lawscape. He is a perfect example of commenting on the sort of state of the legal industry and his profession, but also the journey that he's been on, and talking stuff about his family and what he does in his private life and his religious views. And he does everything in a very well reasoned and respectful way, but you have no qualms whatsoever about the kind of human being that he is, and you feel like you know enough about him to trust him. And it's bringing a little bit of who you are and why you do what you do, not just what you do. And I think that's something that most lawyers could do better at.
Finding positive role models in the industry that are already doing personal branding well is so helpful as well, and it helps you to build your confidence. You can start speaking to people on their posts and add value to their network too, so it's a win-win. And also I found finding people outside of the legal industry, so I follow a lot of marketing people, and
copywriters.
The ideas are just so transferable, but nobody's having those conversations in the legal industry. So it's like bringing a different perspective.
And I think people in the legal industry quite often are afraid of being funny and being more lighthearted. And, you know, it really helps if you can make somebody smile. They are far more likely to trust you, because people smile, they relax. And if they relax, they feel much more comfortable having a conversation and reaching out to you. And honestly, making people feel good and making people laugh. If you're a naturally funny person or something funny happens in a day, sharing it on LinkedIn and making people smile, that will humanize you to such a huge extent, and it draws people to you so easily. And that's definitely been one of my strengths. I'm very self-deprecating. And I'm more than happy to make a knob of myself. And I don't mean like I'm dancing and doing twerking on TikTok. So I don't do that kind of thing. But I'm more than happy to share a story about something silly that's happened to me, and the things that I'm not so good at, like cooking chips in the air fryer. And, you know, people go, oh yeah, me too. I'm stupid in that way as well. And immediately they feel more like I'm on their level. And
it's so humanizing for lawyers to share things as well, because there is a big barrier.
Yeah.
For lawyers, the kind of
they have to be seen as these super professionals.
So that's a good way of breaking that down. We've had one question in from Rich Dibbins, and he says, what features would you like LinkedIn to adopt from other social media channels?
Well, they adopted stories for a while, like on Instagram.
I remember that.
And I loved it. I got so much business from that, just like posting promotional things, little behind the scenes. I loved that stories feature, but it wasn't popular enough for them to keep it, unfortunately. They are bringing in a new profile format where you'll be able to filter, like on Instagram and on Facebook, where you can filter people's text posts, articles and videos if they've got creator mode on. And that's coming soon. They've announced that.
I saw that this morning, and it will be kind of an expertise and a post or something.
So you'll be able to literally, like on company pages, you can click the tab and watch all of the recent videos that they've posted. And I think that's going to be really, really awesome. I'd like LinkedIn to offer a better video in app video features, and also being able to sort your inbox better would be
nice.
nice.
The inbox is a nightmare. I'm the worst with it.
Yeah, it's really stressful. There's no like filtering of these are leads that I need to respond to. This is just uninvited romantic advances. That one's going like I would love to be able to filter my inbox, and that's not possible. And also not limiting your connection limit, that would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
really
at that problem yet, but I think that's about 30,000 or something like that. And then
yeah, so I'm on a 1 in 1 out policy now.
Oh, you have to get a bouncer.
It's so annoying. I have to send personal messages to everyone saying, I'm really sorry, I can't connect with you. Please don't hate me.
And have some kind of competition.
Yeah, if you donate £5 to Hope For, I'll kick some of the charity I'm an ambassador for. I'll kick someone out for you.
Well, we're out for time now, and I will stick to that because I know everyone's really busy, and I'm sure you've got things booked in your calendar and stuff. Just to finish up with Leah, tell us a little bit about the Halt, and how that's really helpful for lawyers, because I see that pop up all the time, and I can't believe I'm not a member yet. That's on
fuming.
I know, on my list.
It's so I started a membership community because essentially eventually I'm going to stop doing one-to-one coaching. So this is a way I can still train people and help them on a larger scale. So we've got about 160 members at the moment, and we do 2 business masterclasses a month and a LinkedIn clinic. So I host the LinkedIn clinics. So people can come and ask me any questions, profile reviews, help with content ideas, etc., etc. Literally anything that they need support with, they can come and ask me live or submit questions before. We've got a Slack community that's super, super busy. Loads of businesses supporting each other, referring into each other. Some of them host free masterclasses for the group as well. It gives you content ideas. So you get 20 content ideas every month direct to your inbox, which is awesome. And the masterclasses we've had, like automation experts, sales navigator experts, copywriting experts, digital marketing experts. Like we've had so many different kinds of people that come in and do hour and a half masterclasses twice a month. And everyone can attend. We keep recordings of everything, so you can watch it back if you can't make it live, and it's all just there. And anyone who signs up now will still get access to all the previous masterclasses. So even if you sign up in 6 months' time, you'd get all of the back catalogue of masterclasses. We don't take them away. Everybody has access to all of them. So for 50 quid a month, it's pretty good bargain.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I mean, I've had the emails, I'm on your mailing list and things, and they come in and I'm like, membership's opening again soon. I have to sign up.
Well, it's open. It's open now. It's open to everybody now.
Is it?
Yeah. So if you want to join, there's no waiting now. It's open. We've ironed out all the issues that we had, which was the reason we were doing it in stages.
Well, so, there you go, lawyers. Go and join Halt. Leah, well, thank you so much again. I really
it's been a pleasure.
Appreciate your time, and we've already had a few people say thank you, so I'm sure this will be so valuable. The recording will be on my YouTube channel and going to my mailing list for anyone who's not been able to make it today. I had a few messages saying they had client calls and stuff, but yeah, just thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And I'll see you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, see you there. Bye everyone. Thank you.